I've now celebrated, I guess, 7, 8 Golden Weeks now, I think. Kind of lost count. And generally, my policy was to do nothing during Golden Week because of all those hassles. The first 2 Golden Weeks that I was here in Japan, I actually worked. I worked at a intensive English camp near Mount Fuji, where we actually were paid to shout at our students. It was kind of a military-esque boot camp English training. But that's a story for another time. Then 2004, 2005, 2006, I basically just stayed in Tokyo. I didn't go anywhere. I did, though, on May 3rd, I went to Odawara, which is about an hour and a half south of Tokyo. So Odawara has a nice, no, oh wait, sorry. Odawara has a castle. I was going to say nice castle, but let's face it, it's not that great. Anyway, they have a festival there on May 3rd, which is rather interesting. People dress up in samurai armor to celebrate their old history when Odawara was the capital of the Hojo clan, or the Go Hojo. Not the Hojo that ruled from Kamakura a few hundred years before that. Now, in 2007, though, I was a bit more travel savvy and more knowledgeable about festivals, so I decided to break my rule of not traveling on Golden Week, and I decided to head north to Tohoku. In 2007, on May 2nd, I actually shelled out a little money to take the Shinkansen up north to Yamagata Prefecture, to Yonezawa, where they had a festival, Uesigi Matsuri. That's where they celebrate the warlord, Uesigi Kenshin. In the evening, they had kind of like a reenactment of a battle rally, pre-battle rally that Uesigi Kenshin would have. And then the next day, May 3rd, they did a reenactment of the Battle of Kawanakajima, which is one of the most famous battles in Japanese samurai history. And that was pretty cool, yeah, to see them dressed up as samurai and fighting each other, even though there was a lot more Squirrel Girl samurai than I think were at the original battle. Kind of more resembled a high school play with a big budget, but it was a lot of fun. And then May 4th, the day after, I went to Hiraizumi in the Iwate Prefecture. Hiraizumi used to be like the Kyoto of the north over 800 years ago, before it was destroyed by the shogun Minamoto no Yoritomo. And there they also have a festival, and I got to see a no performance outdoor on an outdoor stage. Did a type of drumming dance with these guys dressed up as kind of like deer, lion, dragons, and playing on drums. It was really interesting to see that. And May 5th, I just took a local train back from Sendai all the way back to Tokyo. Then 2008, I did a little bit more on the 29th, which normally I didn't do anything for. I went to Meiji Shrine and saw some ancient Imperial court dancing with music called Gagaku, where they wear a mask and do a slow dance to Shinto Imperial court music. Then on May 2nd, I took an overnight bus for Sendai, and I dropped in at Matsushima, which is one of the 3 best views in Japan. And then later that night, I went to Yonezawa again to see the Uesigi Matsuri. I like that festival. And the next day, again, saw a reenactment of the Battle of Kawanakajima. I also saw more gunfire this time from old-fashioned guns. That was really cool. Then May 4th, I went to a place called Yama. There's a castle, and there was a small event going on there, some people performing in front of the castle. It was a reconstructed castle. It was nice to walk around. And while I was there, I actually bumped into samurai historian Stephen Turnbull on the train to Yamagata City, and actually had a couple beers with him. It was quite interesting. He told me about some nice sites to check out. And then the next day, May 5th, I went to Hiraizumi again for more of their festival. They have a spring Fujiwara festival. Fujiwara was the part of the family that built Hiraizumi over 800 years ago. And on May 5th, they had these longevity dances, which are now part of cultural intangible property, something like that. I thought it was interesting to see. And then May 6th, I was still on my day off. I went to, what was it called? Fujiwara no Sato, which is a kind of theme park replica of what Hiraizumi used to look like over 800 years ago. And that was kind of interesting, wandering around that old style architecture, well, replica architecture. Now this year, again, I decided to travel again, but a little bit later. This time, April 29th, I did nothing. May 3rd was on a Sunday, but because that wasn't a national holiday anymore, actually I was scheduled for work that day. As it turned out, I didn't have any lessons because there wasn't many students around. But I went again to the Odawara Festival. Then May 4th, I went to Kanagawa. I forget where, but they had a kite festival. We were flying this huge, a couple of these really huge kites, enormous kites. Later that evening, I went to a place out in west of Tokyo, really, Fuchu, where they had a parade with some wooden floats, wooden carts, really. People were inside the cart playing instruments and dancing. And some of the carts had some really interesting wooden decorations illustrating certain Japanese legends. And then that evening, I took an overnight bus to Morioka in the Iwate Prefecture, and then took a Shinkansen to Kakunodate. Kakunodate is in the Akita Prefecture. It's an old samurai town. Parts of the streets are kind of like as they were over 200 years ago, and you can go inside some of the houses and see how the samurai lived so long ago. Then the next day, May 5th, May 6th, I went to Tazawako, Lake Tawaza, and saw this golden statue, Tatsuko, a very beautiful golden statue of a woman who, according to the legend, wanted to be beautiful forever, and she was turned into a water dragon. I'm not sure if that was a good thing or a bad thing. But anyway, beautiful statue, beautiful lake. Then I went there to Oyu. Oyu, in northeastern Akita, is the site of a Jomon religious area, a religious site. They took stones from the river and placed them in circles. No one's really sure why, whether it's for burial purposes or if it was like a seasonal and perhaps solar calendar clock, sundial. Very interesting, very mysterious. And then after that, I took a train up to Aomori City, and late, or I should say early the next morning, I took a ferry boat to Hakodate. Hakodate is one of the major cities on the Hokkaido island. And then I went to Goryokaku. Goryokaku is a fortress that was built in the mid-19th century and became the last bastion of defense for the old shogun forces. I took a rowboat and rowed around the moat. That was kind of cool. And then that evening I went up to the mountain top, I forget what name it was, but to see the famous night view of Hakodate City. And then the next day, the last day of my holiday, I took a ferry boat to Shimokita Peninsula. That's the northernmost part of the Honshu Island, and it's a pretty remote area. From there, I went to a place called Osorizan. Osorizan, in traditional belief, is the place where where dead people go. There's a lake. Nothing lives in the lake because it has so much sulfuric content. Parts of the land looks like a vision out of hell because there's no nature where the sulfuric springs are bubbling out of. You see vapors coming up. this wisp of smoke. You start getting a little bit lightheaded from the sulfuric fumes. Some of the water is yellow colored. I spent about 2.5 hours there, then caught the last bus to the small little train station in the nearest town. There was only one car, and it took me an hour before I could get into the major part of Aomori Prefecture, and then back to Morioka, and then a train. Then I took an overnight bus back to Tokyo, and then Saturday, I guess you could consider still part of the Golden Week. I worked, but after work I went to Kanda Shrine where they were having their Kanda festival. It happens every 2 years, and they had a couple floats and people dressed up in samurai armor. Some mikoshi, portable shrines brought up. It was pretty cool. Nice way to end my Golden Week. So anyway, so that is how I spent my Golden Week vacation this year and in previous years. If you come to Japan during Golden Week, be aware of all the hassles, but also be aware there are a lot of interesting things going on. And if you are travel savvy and book well ahead, you should be able to enjoy Golden Week. See ya.